Welcome to the Simply Real Life podcast. I'm Sarah, the founder of Simply Real Health, here to help you simplify, amplify, and elevate your life. This show is for those of you who want the real talk on how to live a more intuitive and intentional life, a life that's healthy from the inside out, and one that feels more effortless, aligned, simple, and more alive. We cover it all, from health, wellness, mindset, motherhood, daily habits and rituals, to business and relationships, creativity and growth, and tiny tricks to feeling your best, and the energetics behind it all filled with personal stories, unfiltered conversations, and of course, answering all of your burning questions, all in the way of simplicity and keeping it real, so that you can create your own version of your healthiest life. Let's do it. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the show this week. I'm so glad to be here. We took a couple weeks break as the new year gets started, and it feels like there's been a lot of change and a lot of things. I know even from the last episode where I talked about how I really like to start the new year slow, taking the entire month of January to really let things sink in, let things simmer, just do some reflections, do some planning, going inwards a little bit more, taking good care of myself, just like a little cozy reset. And I feel like now, towards the end of the month, as I'm recording this, it feels like I finally have my footing. I know where I'm going. I know the feelings that I'm wanting to create in my life. I know the things that I'm wanting to focus on and prioritize. And as with anything, it's a process that, I've talked about here so much before, but just the process of doing that every season instead of all the pressure being on the beginning of the year. But I do also feel like there is a little bit of extra winter magic, that quieter time, internal time. The sun is out less hours of the day. It's about being inside. So you might as well use it to your advantage to really get clear on what you're wanting to do for this next season. And I think I shared this in the last episode where there's something about breaking it down into smaller chunks, seasonally, because everything changes season to season. Foods change. If you have kids, their schedule changes, or if they're doing any extracurricular hobbies or sports or activities, that tends to change every 3 months. Making it really purposeful of things you can only do in the winter, only do in the spring, only do in the summer. It just makes the entire year more interesting, honestly, and more fun to go through, that you always have these things that you're anticipating or excited about. And then you go all in for those 3 months, and then it changes and it keeps it fresh and keeps it interesting, especially when it comes to being healthy, taking care of our minds, taking care of our bodies, all of the things that we're tending and holding does really well when we can change it up. And picking things that are more of the priority for those 3 months at a time can just be a really helpful way to focus your energy, that it's not everything all at once. I don't know about you, but it feels really overwhelming to me to be working on 8 to 10 things at one time. But over the course of a year, those 8 to 10 things are totally doable, but maybe it's 2 to 3 things every season. And then that way, everything gets served. Everything gets a little bit of that attention when you're not overwhelmed with doing it all at the same time. As I've been sitting down with my own thoughts, things that I'm calling in, things with my health and my body, I am so focused and so excited now that I'm almost done with nursing. Rosie's almost 18 months old, which is so crazy. Starting to inch out of that baby phase and more into the toddler phase, which also means a little bit more dependence and more time for me. And I always find that my brain seems to come back online at this time. With all 3 of my kids, this has always been the case. I'm until 18 months, nothing is quote unquote normal. You're still kind of finding your way. And so I'm so excited to put more muscle back on my body, to just really focus on muscle and strength training and still doing my walks and still moving in this way that feels really good. But it's not about the short term. It's about the long term. I'm now doing it for longevity. I'm doing it so that I have muscle on my body as I get older. And that's so much more important to me now than the vanity of it, which used to feel a little bit more important to me probably in my 20s and 30s. And now this is all about function and longevity. I want to be able to move and play and be so active and do all the things I want to do for the next 5 years of my life, 10, 20, 30, and when you think about it like that, it can change the scope of what you're focusing on now. Things like that as an example of what's your intention 10 years out, where do you want to be, and having that be really good indicators as to whether your intentions right now are pointing you in the right direction. So all of this to say, this past month has been a quiet time. So I've taken some time off of the podcast and have been creating more, which also feels so good. And many of you have probably seen, I've talked about it on my stories and also sent out a few emails, but I've been in the creation zone because one of the things I am doing this year, which I'm so excited about, is creating a group for mothers. I'm calling it Simply Real Motherhood. And it is all about working on mindset, perspective, having more presence in your life as a mother and in all the other areas of your life, having more joy in the day to day. And honestly, so much of this is stuff that you can learn and you can train your brain and retrain your nervous system, like nervous system regulation, all of the things that we need in motherhood, I at least have found in my own journey with motherhood, because I feel like it's been the biggest personal growth that I have ever walked through. And that says a lot because I've been through things that have required a lot of me and a lot of growth. And I feel like motherhood is one of those things that is the purpose of motherhood, is to refine us and to help us grow and to help us expand and to help us to step into these new versions of ourselves. Every time a baby is born, it also requires this birth of a new version of you. Like you are refining, I think, with each child that comes into your life. It's like this new version of you is waiting. And the things that you learn about yourself and the process of that is huge. Like it is really life-changing, so much to the point where I don't even recognize myself anymore of how I used to be or operate or how I used to think or how I used to go about my day. Everything does change, and it can be this very slow change over time. I have found that 7 years into my motherhood journey. And I know that just keeps continuing. The more moms I talk to that do have older kids and teenagers, it's like, it just keeps going. It's different what's required of you. But my vision for this is to create a community around women who want to live more intentional lives, more present lives, feeling like they're enjoying their day to day, and which has so much to do with mindset and working through limiting beliefs and working through so many of the stories that we tell and so much of the fear and negativity that is hardwired in motherhood, both through societal norms and messages we hear in our culture at large about motherhood. There's a lot of complaining. There's a lot of like, this is so hard. This is miserable. This is unfair. The mental load is so big. And I just don't buy into that. And I think one of the reasons why I have been able to enjoy motherhood is because, one, I see it as a growth opportunity. And I'm willing to change and I'm willing to like, okay, let's figure out how to make this work in a way that feels better for me and probably everybody else in my family. Like nobody thrives when you put yourself on the back burner. And I feel like it is changing. I feel like there's so much about these next generations of moms, and I'm including myself too, of like, we want to do things slightly differently, where we're like, we're not down to be the martyr of pouring out, doing everything for everybody else. And like, you come last. We know that doesn't scale. So what does it actually look like to set up your life, to set up your routines, to set up your mind in a way that helps you thrive versus a way that feels like you get whatever's left over, and that creates a lot of resentment and it creates a lot of anger and not a good vibe for you or anybody else that you're around in your family, in your home. What's the best use of your time and energy? And that always feels like a bit of like a Jenga game, how to put together all these pieces and taking care of myself and taking care of others. And I really feel like it is the best container for growth possible. And so I've been working a lot this month on creating the modules for that and the teachings behind it. So I'm creating a pilot group for this. So if you're interested, it may have already started or we're just starting. So message me right away. And I'm committing to do it February, March, and April of this year with the hope that this may be something that later down the road gets repackaged at a higher price point. So if you're interested in this at all, let me know, because you could get in at the pilot price, which is very affordable and very doable and a great place to like come and ask questions, get coaching from me every other week. It just is one of the things on my heart that I am like, yes. And all of this was inspired by the creation of the Insiders Club, which is what I created last year in February, a group of women all about mindset and working on your inner game and how to cultivate really good energy in your life. A really good vibe all the time requires so much work on the internal workings of your brain. And again, like those thoughts and beliefs and patterns and stories that we oftentimes are not aware of because they run so deep. But in uncovering some of those things, it really opens up a whole other world of feeling so much better in your life and realizing you have the power and the choice to change the ways that you want to actually feel. Like, we can create that. We are in charge of that. And while there may be many things, and there are many things in life where we cannot control, our mindset is not one of them. We are fully in control of that, but most of us have never learned what that means and what is a limiting belief and how do you find it and like how do you uncover it and how do you start to like change that. So this motherhood group is a small example of one topic that mindset deeply applies to. And so the Insiders Club has been this most amazing thing, honestly, that I've done in the last year that just feels the energy in that group is so different. It is like a small, intimate group of women who come from all walks of life, all different ages. Most of them are moms, which is more of my audience these days, or people who relate to the things I'm saying the most, of all ages, like moms of teenagers and moms who have grown kids. Like, we all have that common bond. And so with the Insiders Club, I'd found that it was the most amazing container where we met every other week on Zoom. I record the calls. People don't have to be there live, but like every week there are topics and questions that come in. And I do a lot of teaching in that group, like real life examples, just things that like actually help people make a difference and feel better in their daily lives. So that's something that is also going to be opening soon. If you're like, I know I want to do something with my mindset, something about living more intentional, really get to the root and the core of these things versus talking about it over and over or setting these intentions every month. And then you never really quite do anything about it. Or you have the best of ideas, but then the follow through doesn't happen. Or things like wanting to change your body or wanting to change how you're eating or wanting to change your digestion, your mood, your marriage, how you are with your kids. There's so many things available to us, but it's oftentimes that we get in our own way. When I look at my own intentions this year, that's where I want to focus my time and energy. Yes, I love doing this podcast when I have the extra bandwidth, but most of my time and energy now is going to coaching women in this way. Work with one-on-one clients who want higher level, high touch, immediate day-to-day talking and feedback and getting in the nitty-gritty of your real life and helping you problem solve. I know that life is busy. I know that many of you are moms. I know that mindset is something that you do want to work on because it changes your life. Like, nothing changes your life more than working on your internal game. Like, nothing changes your experience of things more than how you're thinking. And your thoughts create your beliefs, and your beliefs create your actions. And that's who you show up to be in your life. And even for me, who has been like the queen of real food, and that is a foundation you need to even have the conversation around mindset. Because if you are depleted and not nourished and not taking care of the minerals, the vitamins your body needs to function, you are going to feel in a lower energetic state and a much lower mindset. It's going to be really hard to ever feel like you have momentum if that piece is not there. But once that piece is there and you are eating real food and you do it for the most part, not perfectly, and you're still, what is this sort of missing piece? I want to be this type of woman. This is the future version of me, but why do I keep getting stuck? Like, what's going on? Or I'm blocking myself, or I have these dreams, but then I get too scared. I don't feel brave enough to actually go for things or to make changes or to mix things up. Like, that's what it's really about. And so for me, this feels like this next really big piece of like, let me help you in this stage. Or maybe at this stage, you're like, mindset is so big and you are fully on investing in your mind every day. I am a part of 2 other coaching groups. I do some sort of mindset work every day. My morning walk for me is getting my mind right. The way that our brains are wired, the way that the world is wired, like, will always pull you off. And it's up to us to have these frequent reminders of how we want to think, how we want to feel, how we focus our time and energy. Otherwise, the world pulls you away very quickly. This has made the biggest difference in my own life, the biggest difference in motherhood, the biggest difference in running a business, the biggest difference in my marriage, the biggest difference in my friendship, the biggest difference in how I show up as a more whole woman has been working on this. And so there's nothing that I feel more excited about teaching right now than this. I have so much passion around it, and there's so much to share that's just not being talked about in normal conversation. There's some reason why I'm being called to this. So this year for me, saying yes to these things that are on my heart, saying yes to the things that I feel so passionate about and that I've seen through hundreds of women in the last year in the Insiders Club, like how much of a difference it has made in these women's lives. I look at the ones that have been there for the entire year and they have had huge shifts. huge changes. Like I'm talking like went from never wanting to have another kid to now being pregnant. One has left a corporate job and started something that she's so passionate about and she's so excited. She's like, I feel on fire. Like I just was so scared and paralyzed about what if, and it's talking through all these things and these fears and belief and like the lack and like just stepping into a new version. And to me, that's what it's all about. As we're talking here, like I want you to think of something that would require you being brave and would require you to grow this year. For me, it's creating these new containers right now. I have so much experience, in this one subject of, let's say, motherhood and mindset. Nothing has changed my life more than that. And in my motherhood journey, particularly, but one thing that you feel like is on your heart, is on your mind, that maybe you've written down in other seasons or keeps coming up, to do the thing. And when you sit down to actually do the thing or create the thing or go for it or be brave enough to put yourself out there, I would really encourage you to go for it. And then also be aware that in the process of going for it, there are going to be these little voices that sneak in. There are going to be these little things and hesitations that will stop you. And it's so normal, but that's where the mindset piece really comes in, of working on those thoughts, working through some of those emotions or uncomfortable feelings. Like it's all related to that. So creating this life that is big and magical and intentional and feels so good and so aligned to you and the things that you love and the things that bring you joy requires some of the work on the inner side that's not comfortable and not always fun. But when you do, and you're able to slowly and gently chip away at those things, it does not have to be this big, massive experience, but slowly and gently. That's why in the Insiders Club and in this motherhood pilot, we're going to meet every other week. You do it for a couple months because it's about slow and it's about steady and it's about tapping into that energy more often and more consistently in your life than just sitting down once a quarter. It's maintaining touch with the energy and the experiences and the things that you are wanting to create and call in. Having that within grasp requires a reminder every day to get in that better state of mind where you don't let the fear control you and you don't let the negativity or the what if, or, it's like all the reasons why you shouldn't and arguing for your limitations, spending all your energy doing that instead of using that energy and putting yourself out there. So for me, that's what this year is about. And if either of those options sounds interesting and you're like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like this probably does affect so many areas of my life: work, relationships, career, friendships, family, your home, your health, your body, your mental health. It's all connected to how we end up thinking, that internal world. I would really encourage you to do something this year that helps you work on that, because I really think nothing will change who you're being more than that. So whatever it is, and I would love to know, like, what are some of the things that you're trying to call in this year and wanting to be brave enough to go for or to ask for or to do or to put yourself out there? I would love to know what those are. Come over and find me at Simply Real Health on Instagram. And if either the Motherhood Pilot or the Insiders Club sounds appealing to you, just reach out and send me a message. It's not something I post publicly because I want these containers to be vetted and protected and just intimate experiences that are connecting you with women who are real gems of humans and are in there for the same reason of wanting to grow, and so open and kind and encouraging and also real, like sharing real stuff we all go through every day. And that in itself, I think, is magic to be a part of, the real life connection and human intimacy. So let me know over at simplyrealhealth.com. You can send me a message or always send an email to us at hello@simplyrealhealth.com. And I would love to see you in one of those very special containers this year. It's really where my time and energy is going these days. And there's nothing that lights me up more, nothing that I feel like is a better use of time. And being able to see now, like 1 year in, the difference that it's made just slowly and gently over time, everything that's good for our health and good for our minds and good for our bodies. Like it's all about those little shifts and tiny ways that you show up for yourself. And that's what it's all about. I love you. I hope that you are having your own slow, reflective, calm, fun start to the year. And we'll see you back here soon. If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, make sure you're subscribed to the Simply Real Life podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and maybe share it with a friend or two. That would mean the world.